Yes, peeps. Guess what, man? We're back in the building again, and this time we are taking a look. We're going to head on over to Manchester United and take a look at Alejandro Garnacho. This one was interesting for me, because following Manchester United, when I say following, just in relation to Premier League football and etc. But taking a look at Manchester United and all of the kind of, I don't even know what you want to call it, but the chaos, the problems, the issues that they're kind of going through, and financially on the pitch, off the pitch with, in terms of people getting fired and all of the stuff that, Sir Jim has kind of done since taking, over there at Manchester United with the Glazers and etc. And obviously we know Manchester United, right? The Manchester United that I grew up on, Jesus Christ, yeah, that I hated them. I hated them more then than I do now. Obviously now it's just turned into kind of like sorrow. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And one of the main things I think with Manchester United that I feel anyway that they're having like a massive issue with is the transfer market at this current moment in time. And obviously Garnacho is one of those players who might be leaving the football club. And I found that interesting just because he's a young player. And like usually you look at young players, right? And you think to yourself, okay, you're a young player, so you're going to need to do whatever it is that you need to do to get into that first team. And then once you obviously get there, you need to make sure you do everything you possibly can to stay in that first team. Now, Garnacho, and obviously we'll take a look at, some of the amount of games and some of the stats, from previous seasons, but he's a guy who's played a lot of football under different managers, obviously Ten Hag, and then, now Rúben Amorim. And I'm looking at him and I'm seeing the way that he kind of, I guess, is being portrayed by the media and stuff like that. And I don't follow United enough to know if they're chatting shit or not. So I'm going to need Manchester United fans to kind of let me know in the comment section. But when I think about Garnacho, I'm like, I don't know. I get this impression and I don't want people to think, yeah, I'm judging him or whatever. This is just based off of everything that I've seen without diving in too deep. But I get almost the impression that he's someone who believes he's bigger and better than what he actually is at this current moment in time. Now, that could just be ego, that could just be belief. Do you know what I mean? In himself, in terms of the way that he looks at himself as a football player, in today's game, especially. And looking at players like Lamine Yamal and stuff like that, he probably feels like, nah, you know what? Like in terms of ability, I'm up there. I'm playing for Manchester United. It's still one of the biggest clubs in the world. So he might think he's up there. Whether he is, me personally, I do not think that he is. I just think that he's a young player. He's got talent. He's definitely got talent. I think anybody who says otherwise is definitely capping. But he's got the talent to become a very good player in the game. Now, where that takes you, I don't really know. Obviously, Manchester United are not really in the position to take you anywhere. But in terms of just you and having the football career, hey, listen, Scott McTominay left, went to Napoli, did his thing. Now he's, you know what I mean, all of a sudden, he's going to probably be on the Ballon d'Or list come, the end of September. So these kind of things can kind of happen. And when I look at someone like Garnacho, I'm just like, listen, I get it from a Manchester United business perspective. If you can get 50, 60 million, whatever it is, I don't know what the quoted fees or whatever it is that you can get for Garnacho. If you can get that, then I'm saying, yeah, obviously just, yeah, let him go. He can, he's not really developed enough for you to be so worried that he's leaving. But ultimately, the environment at Manchester United, like, it's going to make it real difficult for anybody to really thrive in there. We've spoken about this before. I think Manchester United fans have spoken about this before. I know Flawless, big up Flawless himself, like, he's spoken about this before. Like, that whole environment at Manchester United is just, yeah, it's not fit for purpose at this current moment in time. So it's going to make it almost impossible, I feel, for most players. Look at Kobe Mainoo, man, came through like a house on fire. Do you know what I'm saying? Getting himself into the England squad now, like, and fair enough, it's a different manager. So different manager might have different requirements in terms of what he's looking for. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, wait, even he don't really look too, I mean, he's pulling up any trees. Whereas Garnacho, the same thing. I thought, you know what, Garnacho on one side, but maybe on the left-hand side, and then you got Amad Diallo on the right-hand side in whatever kind of formation you want to play it in. Or even I feel like he can almost even play as a false nine, someone who can just drop into the midfield, make those kind of runs, can occupy defenders when they kind of needed to, but more play on the shoulder because he's got the pace to be able to get in behind, drop in deep because he's got good link up, good footwork and stuff like that. I feel like he could be one of those kind of players, give him maybe a tad bit more responsibility on the pitch in itself in terms of trusting him more, getting the ball to him, a lot more. It's like little things that I feel that he doesn't need. I don't feel like he's in a position where, yeah, he needs to massively improve and he's reaching even playing for Manchester United in its current state. Nah, like Manchester United in terms of the club and where they are, that's probably the right kind of team. But in terms of his ability, I feel like he's got the ability to be doing better than he's doing right now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And like I said, that's why I just feel it's going to be a Manchester United thing in terms of your club. Like inside that football club, it just seems to be death, for any player who seems to come there, especially young players. And it's even worse for them because they're young players. So we're not seeing them really develop properly throughout these kind of maiden years and then obviously develop into the players that they need to. But listen, it is what it is. When we are looking at Garnacho, obviously there was a bit of news, Fabrizio saying Garnacho continues to express preference for staying in the Premier League. He's out of Manchester United project, but despite calls from several clubs abroad, Garnacho wants to continue in England as clear preference. Talks will follow in the coming days. That was a little while ago. Now, this is from Ben Jacobs, I believe. Aston Villa are one of the Premier League clubs considering Garnacho, as revealed last month. A left-sided attacker is a key priority for Unai Emery. Garnacho's preference is to stay in the Premier League, and he has also been on the radar of Chelsea this summer. Nico Jackson, another name considered by Aston Villa. Chelsea not forcing Jackson, but could consider bids. Meanwhile, Chelsea may retain an interest in Morgan Rogers, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously just a little bit about Nico Jackson. Aston Villa, as it says here again, one of the few clubs who are interested in Garnacho. So listen, the interest is there. And like I said, it's going to be there because he has got the talent. He is a player that you can see, if this guy can develop, getting into the Argentina national squad and stuff, if this guy can develop in the next 2 to 3 years, or if in 3 years' time we're looking at him like, bang, there we go. Trust me, I feel like you've got a really, really good player on your hands. And again, like I said, with Manchester United fans, you guys let me know in terms of how you feel about Garnacho. But just from the outside looking in, when I've watched him play, I'm like, nah, he's all right. I mean, he's decent. He's a typical young player, isn't it? Like, he just seems like one of those. But listen, it is what it is, man. But as it said in the report there, obviously he is a left-sided attacker. So, if that's something that Unai Emery is looking for, then perfect. He can play. To be fair, I've seen him play all across, if I'm being totally honest with you. Last season, pretty decent season when you think about how poor Manchester United actually were. 58, he played a lot of games. I know a lot of probably substitute appearances, but still, 15 Europa League games, 36 Premier League games. Like, he's playing a lot of football for someone who's quite young. 11 goals, 10 assists. You know what I mean? And these are the kind of positions that he played in last season. You can see attacking midfield was actually the main one. Left wing was then up next. Right wing is played left midfield. But you can see all across that kind of front three. Like I said, I feel like he can play in any one of those positions. I've seen him play in every one of those positions, and I've never looked at him and felt, again, maybe I'm not analyzing him, too deeply, but I've never watched him and felt like, yeah, he can't do this, or, he can't play on that side kind of thing. Maybe, yes, he might have a stronger preference, clearly, on that left kind of maybe position. But yeah, I feel like he can slot in kind of anywhere. And when we go back, you look at the 23-24 season, again, 50 games. This guy's playing 50 plus games in the last 2 seasons. That's a lot of games, people. 10 goals, 7 assists. Season before that, 37. I think that's when he just broke through. But again, still a lot of games, 6 goals, 6 assists. So, I'm looking at it, yeah. In the last 2 seasons, he's got double figures for goals. In the last 2 seasons, double figures for goals. 11 goals and 10 goals. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, like I said, I feel like clearly this season, in terms of his numbers, he developed because he got more GA than he got the season before. But I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, he is a good player, people. Do you know what I mean? He isn't a bad player. He is a player that at this current moment in time, like I said, I'm not a Man United fan. So United fans would have to tell me maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe some people talk about his attitude, and obviously I saw the thing with Marcus when he wore the Marcus Rashford T-shirt, and I hear all of that, and I can understand why that would then frustrate people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because that's a bit mad. It's a bit mad, I guess, in terms of the situation that you're currently in as well, time and a place, all those kind of different things. But like I said, there's a player in there. There is a talented individual in there. Unfortunately for Manchester United, they don't have their house in order, and where they don't have their house in order, Players like the Garnachos, the Marcus Rashfords, the Jadon Sancho. Look how many players were listed. I'm reeling off. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like these kind of players, though, unfortunately for them, they're just gonna kind of go by the wayside because during their formative years, during the not even informative, during the most important years of those of their own development, each to their own individual, during those years, they haven't been able to be nurtured properly by the football club. Again, that's got nothing to do with them anyway. They can only concentrate on what they can concentrate on. But unfortunately, it's within an environment that isn't allowing for you to be able to thrive. If you think, like I said, if we go back and you think about how many players actually thrive at Manchester United in the last 10 years, Ibrahimovic, I would say he's Ibrahimovic. He'll do, he's going to do what he does, kind of thing. Maybe there's a few more, but Ibrahimovic is the one that pops into my head straight off the rip when I think about the last 10 years. But really, no one. I'm not really thinking most players have to leave. Do you get what I mean? Like I said, we've seen with Scott McTominay, but just players in general have just left. Do you get what I mean? And it's just been a bit more calmer for them. We saw Anthony go away for how long to Real Betis, and all of a sudden, bang! It was like, yeah, this guy's calm. This is the player that you thought you were signing initially. Some reason Real Betis were able to get that out of him instantly from joining. Weird, right? So listen, I'm not going to be too harsh on the player because I do think that there is a player in there. Obviously, how good he's going to be, I don't really know. That's obviously down to Garnacho and what he kind of wants to do. But I still think there's there's a little talent in there. So he just needs to, in my personal opinion, buckle down. Whatever that next move is. I know he wants to stay in the Premier League, but I don't know if he's too thrilled on the idea of potentially joining Aston Villa. I think that's a really good move, especially if he's going to make you at least the starter when you first come in. If he's saying, nah, that left wing spot, like we need it and we want to give that to you, I would say yes. Unai Emery, fantastic manager, very experienced, knows his football. So why not go to a team like that in an environment, by the way, at Aston Villa, which seems obviously on the outside looking in, it seems like it's a very good environment for players to be able to go there and do their thing. We've seen players like Ollie Watkins go there and thrive, and look how good they are. Tielemans as well. Like there's a few other players dotted around, within that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Look at John Duran. Do you get what I'm saying? Like Villa had John Duran for all of 2 seconds. Now he got the whole of Europe after him before he even eventually moved to Saudi. But it's just one of those kind of things. And I think this is where, in terms of what's next for Garnacho, it really is. You need to be making that correct step for your own development, in my personal opinion. You need to be making that step that shows people, this is my guy. I wouldn't go to a Chelsea because there is, at this moment in time, Chelsea is just a conveyor belt, in terms of players coming in. We just saw Madueke go to, join Arsenal. We're seeing Nico Jackson potentially be linked away. Like there's too much kind of going on there. That's not the kind of club I'm talking about. I'm more looking at, you go into a team like Aston Villa. They're a team who are on the up and up. They're trying to challenge to get back in to the Champions League places as well. So they're going to be battling in those European positions. Them alongside a Newcastle. If they didn't just sign a Langia, how much would a Garnacho even cost? These are the things that maybe they should potentially even be looking at, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think for Garnacho, just buckle down, see how the summer kind of goes. And then your next challenge is really just whatever club that you kind of land at, and then you take it from there. But as I say, man, Manchester United fans in the comment section, or just fans in general, man, just let me know what you think. I'll genuinely like to know just how people kind of look at from the outside looking in, or for people who do support Manchester United, how do you look at Garnacho? Is he a good player? Is he a bad player? Is it just not working out because it's Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, peeps, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.